Draft, one of the biggest sports spectacles that occurs every single year. James, you said something interesting. I want to rerun it today. Do you think the Giants would be reaching if they draft Shedeur Sanders at number 3?
I do. I really do think they would be reaching. And it's not saying that Shedeur Sanders is not going to be a good quarterback in the National Football League. It's just saying the two guys that will be available at number 3 are better than him in the draft. And if it's two dudes in the draft that are better than you, ahead of you, and you take me, that is reaching. And you did a solid job of going to address the quarterback situation for your football team this year. You get Jameis Winston, who's been a solid backup quarterback in the National Football League, and you get Russell Wilson, who's been a proven starter in the National Football League the last 2 years, and he has played really good football, a champion. If it was my humble opinion, you will be reaching to go get Shedeur. The two dudes that will be sitting there waiting for you is either going to be Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. You take one of those two dudes. They are day one starters, and they are walk-in Pro Bowl players. With Shedeur, if you take him, we don't know what he's going to be, and you could be reaching.
I agree with you. I think oftentimes, like, the market will force you to do something that you don't want to do. We all live in L.A. Unfortunately, in L.A., you try to buy a house out here, you reaching. Because a $1.5 million house, it's a fixer-upper. I mean, $1.5 million going to get you 2 pieces of wood and a nail. And you got to figure it out. Ask McCoy. He's an expert as it pertains to home building. You reaching. In the same breath, if you got to buy a quarterback in this draft class, you probably reaching. Like Howie Roseman, general manager for the Eagles, he said something. He said, we don't think every player in the first round has a first-round grade. In the same breath, Shedeur Sanders, he probably don't have a number 3 overall pick grade, and Cam Ward don't have a number 1 overall pick grade. But you got to draft a quarterback because it's a quarterback-needy league, and you win or die by the quarterback. Shedeur Sanders at 3 is reaching. I think Cam Ward at number 1 is reaching. Travis Hunter, not a reach. Abdul Carter, not a reach. But if you're taking Shedeur at number 3, you're doing it because you need a quarterback, and the quarterback's the most important position, not necessarily because of what we know about him in college dictates he has number 3 overall pick talent.
I don't think it's a reach. You know, as I look at the draft, right, because nothing's 100%. As great as Howie Roseman is, he still took Jalen Reagor over
CeeDee Lamb, I think.
JJ.
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. That did happen. I mean, I did witness that. You know what I'm saying? But he's great. It's phenomenal. So everybody, nothing's 100%. I'll just say this, man. Like, sometimes in these draft class, people, like, they talk about different players. And I'll give you a running back, right? So let's say a running back has off-the-charts talent, right? But he can't block a lick. His body frame ain't a first round. He's not ready to play right away type body frame. Can't block, body frame small, and he fumbles a lot, right? People say, I can't give a first round grade, right? Dude like me, I can. You know why? Because I can coach that. I remember coming out of the draft, Andy Reid was like, we had you number 1 running back out of all these guys, right? And I was in the class with No Marino from Georgia, who was phenomenal. Beanie Wells, Ohio State. I mean, you go to Ohio State, you do good, you're all world, okay? And he said, your issue was you was too small, Shady. You was small. Couldn't block. Shady. Right? and you fumbled here and there. He said, but all things I can coach. If I have a good coach in the building, there's some things that I can coach you. The Giants, they have that. Brian Daboll was a really, really good coach. The things that Shedeur Sanders we talk about, one thing I know, he's smart as hell. He can read the defensive coverage, right? And then you could coach him and be even better. I just think that, like, we look at him as, you know, maybe he's not as flashy as we've seen the old, you know, quarterbacks in the past, the Caleb Williams, right, the Jay Daniels. Like, them dudes are more flashier. I get that. But sometimes, like, we forget about the basics. So when we talk about generational talents or superstar guys or this or difference makers or special, we go to them dudes. The way they throw the ball, side on the dude. That's cool and that's great. But you can also be a great talent by being really, really good at the basics. The best player of all time, in my opinion, his name is Tom Brady. And he was not special, all the special passes like Aaron Rodgers and then Peyton Manning, all them guys had them strong arms. He didn't have all of that.
That's why he went where he went.
But he was super special in his own way by sticking to the basics. I think with Shedeur Sanders, you go get him because he is special at doing the basics.
That's well said. But my issue, though, is this. What made, in my mind, shady, what makes top 5 players isn't what you can coach. It's what you can't coach. Andy can't coach Shady to cut on a dime.
That is well said.
Nobody can coach Saquon Barkley to hurdle somebody backwards. To me, that's what makes players these elite players. To me, Shady, what Shedeur can't coach limits him from being drafted in the top 5. Not suggesting that he can't go on to be great, but I always think you got to make the best decision with the information you are given. The information we've been given about Shedeur Sanders up until this point simply suggests drafting him number 3 would be a reach. Just the information we're given. Information we might learn retroactively, that's different. But in blackjack, if you got an 11, you double it down. You don't know if you're going to pull a 2 or a 3. But based on the information you're given, it dictates what you're supposed to do next. The information we have about Shedeur suggests he shouldn't go number 3 based upon what can't be coached, not necessarily what could be.
That's well said, too. And my thing is it comes down to what do we think the ceiling is for Shedeur? Because I think when you go in the top 10, they think your ceiling is up here. Might not work out like that, doesn't work out like that a lot, but they think your ceiling is up. But when we say Abdul Carter and we say Travis Hunter, we think all-pro ceiling. That's what type of player we think we're getting. We don't think we're getting that with Shedeur Sanders' ceiling. Now, you can get a good, consistent quarterback, but do you want a good, consistent quarterback at number 3? I don't necessarily know that you want that, and that's why I think it is a reach, because those dudes' ceiling, other than Shedeur, is all pro ceilings, is what we think and what they showed us on tape. Shedeur on tape doesn't show us an all-pro ceiling at the quarterback spot. I'm not saying he can't come in and Brian Daboll getting play at a high level. He got Daniel Jones to play at a high level. Shedeur, in my humble opinion, is better than Daniel Jones. So I'm not saying he can't be a good player, but when you're drafting top 10, you think this dude is going to be a game changer.
No, I mean, you guys have a point, because I think from Carter and I look at Hunter, them dudes are generational.
Yes, sir.
Right? And it's like, hands down, Travis is like the best player in the whole draft. I get that. But Shedeur, I just look at like the stuff he's went through. Like, because it's one thing to look at this only talent. It's other thing to look at some talent and look at what have you done and what you going to do for us. Like, as I watch him go to Jackson State, like, he did that. He changed that thing around. Colorado. I've never been on watching TV when I was playing, not playing. I ain't heard nobody talk about him Colorado. Have y'all?
Rarely.
They everywhere now. And he changed that franchise. So I need a guy that's going to come change my franchise like you already did that. Another thing is when you talk about the talent, yo, what is talent, though? Because there's some guys that go out there with throwing the ball, and they look phenomenal and all that. But then, like, Caleb Williams looked tremendous in college, the way he throwing the ball and all that, but then we get to the pros, he can't read the coverage.
Sure.
I ain't going to sugarcoat it. Y'all know that. So was it generational? You get what I'm saying? You start asking these questions. I think, like, we start only thinking about super talent, right, or what's different when it's how it looks, the way you run. Like, that's cool, but there's a part of being special with the basics.
So I agree with Shady wholeheartedly on that, because I often agree that, like, the stuff that you can't measure, it matters. It matters. But you gotta, if you're gonna put your franchise on something, I believe you gotta put it on stuff that you can measure first. Like, think about the era of the NFL that we're in. The final 4 quarterbacks were Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. On average, those quarterbacks rushed for 590 yards last season. The NFL is moving into an era where if you're a QB, you better be able to run. Shedeur Sanders, he rushed for minus 50 yards last season. Now, in college, sacks counts as negative yards. So he couldn't outrush the yards he was getting sacked. Furthermore, on tape, he doesn't look like he runs all that often. He didn't run the 40 at the Combine, and he didn't run the 40 at his NFL showcase, what we also know is Pro Day. So if there's an era of football now where as a quarterback, you, for the most part, you better be able to run. Even Joe Burrow, they say he's sneaky athletic because he's white. If they're in an era right now where you better be able to run, and Shedeur hasn't even shown us on tape that he be running, that also, for me, 2.5, is a cause for concern when I'm looking at, man, Jaden Daniels, he ran for about 800. Jalen Hurts, he ran for about 700. You know Josh Allen. He goes without being said. And Pat, even, I forget it, I think it was Charles Woodson who said Patrick Mahomes is the best running quarterback in football because of when he chooses to run.
Right.
So that's another concern for me.
And saying on that, you are right, because you do need to be able to run nowadays, right? Y'all telling me that if, I don't know, he can't run at all, in the pocket, he can't move and run at all. I think the problem was his offensive line was so bad, and he couldn't run the ball. See, like, when we start dissecting these quarterbacks, we got to look at the whole picture, though.
Of course.
Just like when you look at a running back. I won't even say the team, but I had a team ask me, hey, Shady, can you scout this running back for me? Right? He said, because it's been hard for us to do it. So I'm being arrogant, like, yeah, you want me to do it because I know running backs? But it really was, well, we can't really grade him because his team is so bad that we think he is explosive, we think he's fast, we think he's shifty, but every time he gets the ball, it's 3-4 guys on him, and we really can't tell. Yeah. And the only time we can tell if he's a good running back when he plays lesser competition. It's the same thing for Shedeur. It's hard to grade how good you really are because I hear everybody talk about, well, he only throws 5-yard passes, and the other ones he's getting sacked. Well, why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Because the line's so bad. I'm getting the ball in my hand. So we really can't tell how good he really could be or his ceiling is. I'll just say this. It's hard for me to believe that Shedeur Sanders can't scramble at all.
I agree.
Come on, man.
No, but the problem is the tape tells
Because you
otherwise.
see, I will sit here and bet you on this desk that when we watch him play in the league, if stuff breaks down and there's a wide open hole, right, he gonna scramble for 5 or 6 yards. See, the problem with scramblers, I don't need you to go for 25 yards.
No.
But it's 1st and 10 and nobody's open, there's a hole there, you can go out there and get 6 yards. Now it's 2nd and 4.
But another thing, too, though, is I don't want to, like, really dive into the scrambling, because I do believe that extending plays matters, too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you might not be running for your life and getting out there and picking up 25 yards, but he does extend plays.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And Aaron Rodgers was one of the greatest at extending plays. Early in his career, he would run a little bit, but he was mostly thinking, I'm going to extend the play to throw the ball. Shedeur does a really good job of extending plays. He might not get out of there running, but he does a good job extending plays, though.
The dilemma,
What about the coaching part of it? Because sometimes this might sound dumb, but it happens in the league. That's why I love talking these conversations with y'all, because we actually played. You know what I'm saying? And there's sometimes where, like, you do things for so long and you never was coached something different.
Yeah.
Shedeur, there's nobody open, run the ball.
Correct.
That's so simple.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
But the thing for me that's crazy is, like, Shedeur has a lot of strengths. Was rewatching his tape last night, though, there are a lot of weaknesses that suggest top 3 ?
Yes.
Like, that's what it is for me. There's just sometimes, like, there's not enough zip on the ball. You got dudes running wide open and you're throwing them short, so now they're catching it like this and they're getting tackled. You got sometimes, like Shady said, Shedeur, you got a gap. Just take off and run. The intuition within the game of, like, okay, big dog, you could pick up 15 yards right here, but you're choosing not to. Is it that you lack the skill, or is it that you lack the will? Or is it just that, like, you deciding to hold on to the ball for whatever reason?
I just said it. What if he wasn't coached that? It'd be the simplest things. I remember when I never liked to block. I didn't say I never liked to block. I just never blocked. And I never blocked in college. I was cut everybody. And I got to the league, and Deuce said, yo, my man, you cut every day on tape. Every defense player sees it. So if you come to block, they know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
He said, why don't you do this, Shady? Fake cut, slow him, and then grab him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smart.
And I started doing that. So sometimes, like, something so simple, you might not be coached at. And the last thing I'm going to say real quick, because we keep going on this top 3 and if it's a reach or not. When we watch these drafts and all these players we talk about, because I say everybody's getting to college.
A lot of them reach.
How many legit top 10, top 5 guys are there? Let's go to last year's draft. How many of them guys are? Because right now, today, I think Caleb Williams is a great player.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was the top pick.
But here's what we do know.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
Coming out of
But
college.
that's what, Shady, I think we're having different conversations. What I mean is, like, based upon the information we have
now.
The information we had at the time, you knew Caleb was a top pick. You knew Jaden was a top pick.
Yeah.
You knew Drake May was a top pick. Those are top 3.
I disagree, though.
Only based on the information we had. Jaden was a freakazoid athlete with a freakazoid arm. Caleb Williams, a freak athlete with a freak arm and freak just intangibles.
Drake May
Dude
went
could
third.
backpedal. Drake May went third.
When I looked at Drake May, I swear to God, I'm not even joking. I remember saying, like, yo, what's the hype with him about?
He was 6'5",
cool.
235. He could run. He was tough. He had an arm like crazy. Like, I don't know if he's good. But I know he was a freak athlete.
So that's what I'm saying. So when we keep we keep talking this game about top 3 and top 5 and all this and that, and I guess because you're saying from the college tape.
That's all we have. That's all we have, Shady.
But I know, but sometimes, like, that's why I hate the college conversation, because everybody's going to college. College be having basketball scores in football.
Sure.
So now when I look back and say, okay, you guys took Baker Mayfield #1 pick, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's a #1 pick overall. Do y'all?
Coming out of college.
Okay. But hear what I'm saying to you. So what I'm saying is, college or not, when you talk about a top 10, top 5, we really don't know who really is. Because a lot of these dudes, like, I'm just going down the draft on certain players. There's some guys like, yo, I thought he was and he wasn't. But we never really know.
But we can only assess the information we have. I don't disagree with what you're saying. But I was like, if all we have is the information, which is the college tape, the combine, whether you do it or the pro day, we have to go off that.
No doubt.
So wait, you never played with a player, and I don't want to get into names because I don't want to, these are my friends.
We all have.
You never played with a player. And I'm like, dang, dog, where the stuff I seen in college at? I don't see it.
We all have.
You get to the pros, it's gone. And then there's some dudes like, okay, he was really, really good in college. Not super great and all this, but he was really, really good. And that same really, really good
Happens all the time.
went to the pros, right? And that became an all-pro and Pro Bowls.
No doubt.
That's why I keep telling y'all, like, y'all so big on this, like, oh my God, the generational stuff and top 5, that's cool and all that. But there's a generational talent of just being consistently good.
No, but
and that can translate.
We can't go off of that, though, Shady. All we can go off of is college and how special you was in college. If they did the draft over right now, LeSean and Beanie Wells not going before you. That's not happening because they know what Shady
know
is
now.
in the pros.
But back then,
all we can go off of
Beanie
what
is
these
still
dudes is in
6'2",
college.
235.
Caleb, Drake May, Jaden Daniels was like that in college. And when you turn on the tape, you've seen that. Listen, the league needs quarterbacks. You want quarterbacks. You want great quarterback play. If Shedeur was that great on tape, we wouldn't even be having this
But James,
discussion.
but see the thing, real quick before we leave, like you say that, if I look at all these players for, I don't know, 2 hours, I like watching tape. I'm gonna find bad stuff with all of them.
With everybody.
If you go to the most faithful girl in the world, you go to her phone, she can be faithful as ever. You can find something you do not like. Of course. My mama taught me that. Okay? So when I watched Caleb Williams, right?
Yeah.
When he was in college, I just said, yo, this brother's like one of the best players I've ever seen, right? I told him, remember I told you that? I said he's special. But when I watched his tape, I found things that I was scared of and I did not like.
No doubt.
I said, yo, he can't read coverages. Yeah, what do you mean, Shady? I said, listen, I don't care what the stats tell you, and a Heisman Trophy and all that. He cannot read coverage. He said, why? He said, anytime a player holds onto the ball all day and running around, backpedaling and doing high school stuff, he can't read. Kyler Murray. College, I said, yo, great talent.
Yeah.
When I watch his tape, I could find things that I didn't like about him. And the same thing I seen him in college, holding the ball, doing these great plays that look good in college because you hold the ball because you're not reading the coverages. When you get to the pros, you're having the same issue. You get what I'm saying? So when you keep talking to me about all these great, special, talented players, there's only a small amount of them in the league, okay? And it's a real small amount in college. The small amount in college is the guy you're talking about. Travis Hunter, if he's a bust, yo, I was just wrong.
All wrong.
Because he's just so much different. But there's some of these other guys, like even Cam Ward and these
Yeah, I
dudes,
agree with you on
right?
Cam Ward.
Even Baker Mayfield. Like, if I watch the tape long enough, I could find you things in the hole that I do not like about him. That's all I'm saying.
That's very true. Hey,
with
what up, YouTube family? Welcome to the facility. Thanks for watching, and you better be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to get more highlights from the show and all of our exclusive content.